Sure. So this article was a conceptual piece that aimed to provide suggestions for HR professionals and for academics who are in conversation with HR professionals about how to create workplaces that are inclusive of transgender and gender non-binary or anybody who doesn't conform to the more traditional male-female sort of gender stereotypical way of expression.
Gender non-conformity and gender identity issues are things that, basically the public doesn't have a lot of awareness about. We're growing in our awareness as a collective whole through news stories and public transition, but it's something that affects HR directly.
So we felt like it was important to lay out not just the research that exists, but also to lay out point by point examples or step-by-step processes that people can follow to make sure that they're actually creating an inclusive work environment. So that was the first of all, the LGBT literature work is fairly small. And so within that small LGBT literature, the T often gets left out. So in a lot of our studies, people will say, oh, we're doing this study on LGBT issues, and we studied, 100 gay men and 100 lesbian women and 100 bisexual individuals. And they'll say, and we couldn't get a large enough sample of transgender individuals. And their issues are different anyway, because gender expression is different from sexuality. But they sort of, by doing that, get lumped in. It looks like we're studying LGBT, but really we're studying LGB and leaving the T out. So I think one of our goals, because of our broader interest in gender and LGBT activism more broadly, I think that our goal was to sort of re-include the T into our literature and better understand the unique experiences that would help to create better work environments for people who don't identify as traditional male or female in a stereotypical fashion.
Obviously, we love going through the process of creating new research ideas and seeing them from start to finish. But there's something more here. I think that this particular area is so understudied, and it's a population that's so in need of being studied, not only from an academic perspective, but obviously transferring those findings into practice where they can have a real meaningful impact on people's lives.
I would say broadly, in doing work in this area, one of the things that I have found surprising is that even though there's a general recognition within the field that LGBT issues are important, transgender issues are important, we still do hit up against a little bit of a wall when trying to publish this kind of work because a lot of journal editors or people who review the papers are interested in papers that generalize broadly to every kind of diverse group. And what we're trying to say is actually transgender individuals may have unique experiences that don't translate to other types of groups' experiences. So,
So I think the bottom line point here for HR practitioners is that if you can cultivate an environment, obviously that is number one, tolerant and accepting, but really right from the beginning, getting people to be allies who see it as a moral responsibility on their part to take those risks, that it can go a long way in helping transgender employees feel a connection to their workplace, to feel some sense of this is a place where I could stay, hopeful and optimistic. It can go a very long way. A lot. We just don't know a lot about the workplace experiences of transgender employees. So there's a lot of work to be done.
It's also relevant to anybody who has a willingness or a desire to express their gender outside of stereotypical fashion. So I feel like we're kind of coming full circle on some of these things in the sense that, the early women's movement started by saying, we shouldn't have to wear dresses and skirts. We should be able to wear pants like men, and et cetera. And yet we're still stuck on this. Yeah, women can go this far in that direction, and maybe men can go a little further in this direction, but we're still stuck on this ability for people to really truly be fluid in their expression. And I think that's the next level, and that's what we need to start thinking about. It's not just an issue, although that is of great importance, an issue that affects transgender individuals or people who formally identify as gender non-binary, but it's really an issue for everybody to get on board with that's in alignment with the American value of self-expression and the ability to be free to be who you are.